As coaches, are we kind of missing the boat now? And I think this will be really educational for people to hear this. Okay, I'm going to give you the description of a guy that I saw in 1997. He was 82, 83. He was a 6-foot right-hander. He
Right.
had feel, he had pitchability, he had moxie, he had savvy. He threw 2 or 3 pitches for strikes, and he had a lot of swing and miss when he threw the ball over the plate. Something that I learned from my mentor and your coach, George Horton, to go look for. And I never forgot that. And I tell young recruiters that all the time. Put the gun aside and watch the guy that's missing barrels. That was you that I just described. And I'm not here to just boast you. You know this from me. You fall in my top 5 of my whole career, top 5 of a guy that I'd hand the ball when I had to win a game. It was the most important game to ever win. Why are we missing the boat on not looking at those kids anymore? Why does it have to be 92, 93 with rise in their fastball, and we're missing guys that have pitchability, and we're passing over those guys?
I think a lot of it is because what you're seeing on TV, everybody throws a million. So then it trickles down, and it's a lot easier. And I think it's with scouting too, in terms of professional baseball, it's a lot easier to put your head on the pillow at night saying, you know what, that guy wasn't very good, but he has stuff, and be okay with that, as opposed to going, well, that guy got beat up today and he doesn't have good stuff, and it was because he didn't miss barrels. And so my thing is like, we have to be able to find, now the perfect world is find a guy with great stuff that has pitchability. Yeah. But nowadays, I think the first thing that kids think about is, well, what was my velocity?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you see it all the time. It's on every scoreboard now, and after each, after most pitches, guys are turning around looking to see what their velocity is. And,
but what it's also on every scoreboard is zeros in each inning too.
And
we're
that's
not seeing that as much.
Correct.
Yeah.
And guys are, oh, I didn't feel good today. Well, why didn't you feel good? Well, my velocity was down. Well, I don't care. You think velocity gets people out? Like, my thing is are we raising this next generation of baseball players to, it's sexy. In my opinion, it's sexy to get people out. It's not, I don't care if you can throw 100 miles an hour. If you don't get people out, who cares? So I think it's a lot, but to go back to your question, I think it's a lot easier for evaluators to be able to just say, well, he has the stuff, he just can't get people out. That's his issue. As opposed to, you can't really say that about the guy that maybe doesn't have quite the stuff, and now all of a sudden it's like, when he has a bad day, you look really bad.
Walter, let me finish with this.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think a coach out there recruits you today?
Mm-mm.
Of what I saw many years ago?
No. And it's funny because I just had a scouting director in town that had stumbled across my evaluation when I was a senior or maybe a junior in college. And I read it, and I'm like, I don't think I recruit me. And that was when I was a junior in high school. And it was like, you look at it, it's like 83, 86, touch to 7, like, I think my best grade was maybe a 50. Everything else was like 35 to 45. And it was just like, and then Doug Deutsch, who drafted me with the Astros, was the same thing you were saying. He told the scouting director, don't bring your radar gun, just bring your stopwatch and time when he steps out of the dugout to when he gets back in it after the inning. That's the only analytic that we need. You don't need to look at the radar.
We're not recruiting this as much anymore. Correct. And we're not trying to build this as much as a player anymore.
Correct.
It's all about skills.
Correct.